Toronto Raptors lost against the Memphis Grizzlies 98-91. Savannah Hamilton alongside Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton here. Now, as you saw with those Scenics, it's cold outside, and I'm sure it wasn't as cold this time of year last year in Tampa with the Toronto Raptors, which gets me to Jonesy talking about what is going on, because last year they were in Tampa, it wasn't their home, but now they are home, but their record is 2-8, the opposite of what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it's look, you've got a team that is learning how to play, and some of the young guys, I think about a Malachi Flynn, who he's in his second year, but really it's his first year in Toronto. This team is really still learning how to play at home, and riding the energy of the crowd at home takes a certain bit of skill and experience. You can get almost too excited and go for a kill shot or a home run shot when the ball maybe should be moved a little bit more, and guys get a little bit excited, like, I'm at home, I can do this, and they are feeding off the energy of the crowd, but maybe it's kind of pushing them over the top when they need to take a step back and relax. This is very unusual for a Toronto team. That being said, overall, they are a team that's still trying to figure themselves out, and we keep coming back to it, not as an excuse, but a reality. They have some very key and experienced people out of the lineup.
Absolutely. Another thing that we got to keep in mind is, the pattern of what we're seeing here as well. The Raptors typically, they're starting from behind when they come out the gate, and then they kind of catch up, and then next they kind of lose it down the stretch. How do you break that pattern? How do you change the pace?
Well, traditionally, this squad has been a fast starting squad. They've never been a jump on you team with consistency. But they have been the cardiac kids. They make that run late in the game. They come back into the game, and they make it interesting. And previous years when they had more, seasoned talent, guys who were more experienced, they knew how to get over the hump. At this point, they have a lot of young guys that they're not really figuring it out right now. So that whole reality of trying to chase teams down isn't working out for them. The question for Nick Nurse now is, how do you change that? Well, he's trying to do some things. He's trying to mix up the lineups. He's trying to take some guys out of the rotation, hoping that it might jumpstart them and motivate them, a la Chris Boucher. We're seeing him try to get guys kind of moving like that, but it's difficult because you're dealing with young players, you're dealing with inexperience, and you're dealing with injuries. Some key guys out of the lineup, as Jonesy said. So you've got a lot of moving parts here, and it's a tough part of the schedule. Even though they're at home, it's not an easy stretch for them. So Nick Nurse is trying to push all the right buttons and try all the tricks in the bag, but it's difficult at this point.
Absolutely, and something that we saw with the Memphis Grizzlies, hey, both teams, they did not shoot that well. Right. Like Memphis Grizzlies, they were 29% from the three. However, the Raptors, they were 25% from the three. So what's happening? How can they start hitting shots? And, not all players are shooting cold, but certainly the majority are.
It looked like them Scenics outside, right?
Yeah,
It's very cold. Look, I'll say this. They had good looks. I went back and watched every single one of those 39 three-point attempts. And I'm going to tell you, I can only count maybe on one hand those that were challenged, really challenged. I mean, there were a lot of wide open looks. There were a lot of them that were, you guys have played, we call the practice challenge, where your workout partner throws the ball to you and kind of runs by you, not with any idea of blocking a shot, just to be kind of an actor passing past you as an extra in a movie. There's not a serious challenge, and the Raptors couldn't knock those down. They are getting good looks. You got to get in the gym, you got to work on those, and you got to knock them down. And the other part of it too is, some of those guys aren't used to shooting those shots in terms of maybe a little bit of pressure. They know it's an important shot. They might be squeezing it a little bit, but they are getting good looks. We've always talked about this. You can't turn those down. You have to continue to take them, and eventually they'll start to go down.
Man, I missed that drill, eh?
Everything went good, eh? Everything went down, huh? Nobody guarding you?
Once in a while, they would purposely try to block you, just to keep you honest.
I don't miss it at all.
You don't miss it? Of course you don't. Sherman Hamilton does not shoot to miss, guys. OG Anunoby. But Sherman, let's talk about the vets on this team and what they need to do to initiate scoring from their other teammates.
Well, it's difficult right now because the firepower around the vets on the team don't attract enough attention. One thing about the game of basketball in the NBA is you need guys who can attract a second defender. And right now we know Pascal can, we know Fred can, and I feel like the load is put on their shoulders to be even more aggressive offensively, because that's going to open it up for the other guys, those guys who might not be able to create on their own and score efficiently on their own. Well, if Fred's attracting a second defender, if Pascal's attracting a second defender, All of a sudden now on the swing, and the defense is rotating, there's better looks and there's more driving of the closeouts that they can attack with. So I think the key guys like Fred and Pascal were asking a lot. I know that, but to get these guys better looks, you might have to be even more aggressive as scorers to open the floor up for teammates.
Absolutely. We're going to head to some post-game sound, but just before we do, you guys see Dylan Brooks' outfit last night?
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
yeah.
He was wearing the Memphis Grizzlies, I swear.
Some guys can pull it off, and some guys can't.
I think he did. I'll
Yeah,
give
no,
him that.
no. Oh,
He's
no.
at home. We'll give him that. We're going to hear now from Utah and Pascal Siakam.
I mean, like, even like in the practices, I was feeling like, you know, I was getting back to my rhythm. I mean, not 100% yet, but you know, I definitely felt that. And today, it was good to see my shots were falling, and I'm shooting with a confidence. So I think it's gonna just keep falling. Definitely, they know that if they focus on like Fred or Pascal, they have a lot of chance to win. So, including myself, we have to step up and we have to help them, because if we keep playing like this, it's gonna be like a lot of tough nights. So we all gotta step up more. Like before the season, like we talked about, like like keep doing like what I've been doing defensively, like bringing energy, like play defense really hard, and offensively, like they want me to be more aggressive. I mean, we talked about last year too, but this year they saw me, got better offensively, like end of the last season, Olympics and preseason games. So they want me to be a little bit more aggressive and keep shooting shots no matter what.
I think maybe we got a little surprised by that, but like just trying to make sure that we don't try to just play one-on-one, kind of move the ball, and we were just not like in the right spots most of the time, and it kind of caught us off guard. And I think, but in the second half, I think we kind of like got better a little bit at it. But yeah, it was just I think it was just too long of us not knowing what to do at that time. We got to fix that. It's not acceptable. We can't play like that at home, and I think we always say we have this fan base and all that, but we have to show up at home, and I think we got to make it part of what we do, and we got to be better. No excuses, and like that can't happen. It's not acceptable. The fans don't deserve that, so we got to play better at home for sure. Right. Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, two guys that can score the ball. But yeah, I think like the identity of like all the teams that we had is always about next man up. Like like that can't be an excuse. We have to play better. And with those guys out, like everyone is gonna get an opportunity, and once you're out there. You just gotta take it, and we hope those guys come back quicker, but we gotta figure it out, and we all gotta step up. Right? Yeah. I mean, I think obviously we missed some shots. That can happen, but I just think that like just continue to move, and sometimes it's kind of like it just feels like there's not enough spacing. So we gotta figure it out. Move off the ball, cut. And we just can't be stagnant, that's like we gotta go to practice, work on it, get better, and I think obviously we think that the shots that we take and some of those guys taking shots too, like know that they can make those shots, so those shots gotta go in, and when it doesn't go in, we gotta figure out the ways to crack the paint and get buckets another way. Yeah, again, like. We always, I think one of the things that Coach always said was like there's just a couple of those guys that's kind of like real fives, and when we play those guys we have to just suck it up and do a better job, and sometimes we go out there and help on the big guy, but the ball just drops and somebody else come and get it. We have to get those loose balls, and yeah, like again, like this is what we have, so we gotta we all gotta just step up. Like there's no like is what we have. Like we have 6'8", 6'9", all over the ball, but we know we can do it, and we've done it before. So I think we just gotta do it. It's tough when you play those type of guys, but yeah, we gotta do it.
We're now going to head over to our fourth member of our squad, Amy Audibert, to talk some Memphis Grizzlies.
Thanks so much, Sav. Yeah, when we look back at that game earlier this week and when the Memphis Grizzlies were in town, I think about when I, in the pregame, spoke to their head coach, Taylor Jenkins, about how they feel in without Ja Morant. And he said, we're not asking our guys to do more. We're just asking them to do better. And that is exactly what Desmond Bane and Dillon Brooks did against the Toronto Raptors at Scotiabank Arena. Desmond Bane has been so consistent, but it was that big three, in my opinion, that really swung the momentum late in this game, and he took care of business. And, of course, when we get over to the other guy, DB in football, don't even bother. That's what we talk about with mean and nasty DBs, and you say that in the most complimentary way to the Canadian, because he came in with this mindset that he wasn't losing this game. I mean, we know he can shoot the ball, but it's not he's capable, but his bread and butter is attacking the rim. And that's what he does. He gets after it on both ends of the court. He definitely got into it with the crowd as well, had the nice coat and post game, came in with a total mindset and attitude, and executed on the court. And we all saw Dillon Brooks tell the crowd that it was his house, but Jaren Jackson Jr. definitely has at least a master bedroom, because he certainly had a fantastic evening. 6'11", listed at around 240. He was a beast last night, and it was tough for the Raptors. You talk about not having OG and Anunoby available, and this is why Jaren probably had like 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 blocks, 4 of 7 from long range. We saw him get to the rim, but really he was so crafty and moving around the three-point line. At his size and his skill set, you need to match that with some muscle strength and also quick feet. So it's certainly a handful for Toronto. And when we look at the way this Raptors roster was assembled, we knew it was always going to be a little bit difficult when we saw the bigs. And earlier this week when Steven Adams was in town, you look at his stat line, he only had 4 points, 8 rebounds, not too bad. But when you looked at just his overwhelming size, the Raptors do a great job, and they did it earlier this week, trying to swarm down and keep him off the boards. It certainly gets overwhelming, and that's why having a guy like Khem Birch is so important. And so I imagine the fan base and the organization, everybody wants Khem to get back healthy soon, because Khem can match the size of a lot of the bigs in this league, and he can get under them and he can move with them and be physical. It's going to be really tough for the Raptors, but they're going to have to weather this storm, and it's going to have to be by committee.
Thanks, Amy. Now we're going to be talking about Scottie Barnes and his peaks and valleys that he's been having, and Nick Nurse touched on that too, so let's take a listen.
Much more threes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we're seeing a lot of peaks and valleys all within the same game, almost every game now, right? I mean, you look down at the first 10 minutes of the game, he's like a minus 20, right? And then he ends up, so he plays the rest of the game a plus whatever 9, or maybe it's minus 22. So he played the rest of the game plus 11. So that's pretty extreme peaks and valleys. That's what I'm noticing.
Now, we just heard from Coach Nick Nurse, of course, but what do you make of these highs and lows, and how does Scottie Barnes level it out?
Coaches always used to say the best thing about first-year players is they become second-year players. And it's about learning right now. Scottie is going in peaks and valleys, and what you want to do is level out the valleys and be consistent with the ability to turn it on and make big plays, or seize the moment when it comes. And that comes with learning. It comes with learning the NBA game. And I've said this before. He's a little more than a year plus removed from going to the high school prom. I mean, he played at Florida State for a year. He's out. He's in the pros. He's playing with seasoned veterans. He's going to learn. He's going to have to learn. And hence you get some times when concentration wanes and things don't go the way they're supposed to. And rather than focusing on changing it, you're maybe thinking about the last play. That comes with experience. And I think what you want to see is Scottie, and he certainly has the potential to do it, level things out, understand certain moments in the game, certain times in the game when certain things are needed, and then you'll get a more consistent Scottie Barnes with the chance to take it up a notch when it's important.
Absolutely, and something that's also been apparent with the Raptors this year has also been the free throws. And that's a part of that's with the roughing. There's a different style of roughing this year. I'm not mad at it at all. However, with the Memphis Grizzlies game in particular, Memphis Grizzlies made more free throws than the Raptors actually attempted. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that this way that the officials are calling the game, it leads to a more physical brand of basketball, and the Raptors are not necessarily the most physical team. And when you're not the physical team, the calls that you got last year based on how they're officiating, you're not going to get this year. We're seeing superstars in the league like James Harden. He's not getting to the free throw line nearly as much with the way that it's being officiated. So for the Raptors, it's got to be an internal change and mindset shift that leads to a more aggressive, attacking, and instead of looking for the whistle on attack, look to make the bucket. And if you get the whistle, great. But if not, look to score the ball. And I think that's going to be a bit of a mind shift for a lot of players. But the Raptors have been a jump shooting team. They don't have that big bruising guy like a Steven Adams who we saw with the Memphis Grizzlies. So when you have perimeter guys, you're playing 5 out sometimes, and you're not attacking as much, those free throws aren't going to be there. So they're going to have to adapt a bit the way they play.
Absolutely. Actually, that's what I like about this league right now and how it's being officiated. You can't rely on the whistle to bail you out. You really do have to focus on everything you're doing.
Well, you're right, but that doesn't mean that the officials haven't missed any calls.
No, not at all.
They have missed calls. There were plays, multiple plays, where the Raptors should have been rewarded with free throws that they're not getting rewarded with. Can't hang your head. Next play.
Absolutely. On that note, we're going to go to our next play. After the break, we're actually going to be hearing from the players. Welcome back to Raptors Today. Now, the team was practicing, so let's hear from Scotty Barnes and Fred VanVleet.
I would say for sure. They've been just telling me so other people could drive and get those lanes, and for our bigs to just roll, be able to get lobs and things like that. You got spaced out. Usually I really just try to look for open spots on the floor, but really it's just been telling me to get out. Just so we get our spacing right. I think space is a key thing in our offense that we need and able to be successful. So just trying to be able to space out. No, it's not really that hard. I would say, I really just follow my instinct. Screen and roll, big drives. If I'm in like a certain spot on the floor, just be able to slot cut throughout. It just depends on what's happening in the offense. I don't know. I like playing on the road. It isn't. I don't say it's like super much of a difference, but of course there really is a difference. The fans are going against you; they're trying to hype up their team, so you're going to get that hostile environment a bit. But I don't really know. I don't really know what it is.
You like playing in a hostile environment?
Yeah, for sure. I like playing away. I like playing at home too, but I don't know.
Yeah, youth maybe. Inexperience. Defense is hard to do every night, every play, every possession, especially for young players who may not understand the concept of what winning basketball actually means. You know what I mean? Believe it or not, offense is not really that difficult in the NBA. The game is built to be able to score. It's a ton of space. Everybody's talented. Guys can make plays. So, again, I'm not ever really overly concerned about the offense. We got one of the best coaches in the NBA. He's going to figure things out to get us in spots. We have talent to score, but some of the defensive mishaps and execution is going to put you in a tough spot to win a game every night, and that's the part that we got to get better at. Yeah, I think he's trending upwards. I think, there was a bad game here or there, but he's been looking like Pete to me. Again, me and Pascal have conversations about, different things and what it takes to win this, with this team. And for the most part, I think he's been answering the call. There's a few games where, his energy was a little lower and, some defensive mistakes, but I thought the last couple he's been sharp and, I never really care about the scoring and things like that. It's just more so making the winning plays and being in the right spot and just, leading by example for the rest of the guys. So I like what I've been seeing from him and just trying to be there to help him, in any way. It's tough out there for him, you know what I mean? With the spacing and things like that for him to try to score one-on-one. But I think, as long as he plays hard, he plays tough, that's kind of, all we can ask for.
Now, the Raptors have a tough matchup ahead. They're facing the NBA champs, Milwaukee Bucks. And let's talk specifically about the star of their team. I don't know, some guy named Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
How do we stop him?
I don't know how you stop him. As a matter of fact, you don't stop him. You try to make it hard on him. You try to contain him. You try to make him give the ball up and hope that the other guys aren't going to kill you. And, that's something that you look at with Giannis. His competitive spirit is something that makes him want to play well. It forces him to play well all the time. He'll take the ball to the goal. He's like a one-man fast break coming downhill. You got to wall him off. You got to show him bodies. But then he's kicking the ball out. He's passing. He's finding guys. You know, Drew Holiday, Pat Connaughton, Grayson Allen has been terrific in their system. So it's going to be a tall order. You can bet that Nick Nurse will have the game plan focused on Giannis, but it's not a matter of, oh, well, we can just shut down Giannis, because Milwaukee is becoming a true team. They have all the parts now. And here's the other thing, too. They know what it's like to get to the top of the hill. They know what it's like. So those guys have the experience, and I don't think you're ever going to see any panic in them anymore. They know what it's like to win.
Absolutely. And Giannis just recently figured out what it's like to dunk his Oreos in his milk as well.
That's part of the game plan. Maybe put a whole bunch of them in the locker room and Oreos, and maybe that'll, like, you know, calm him down.
Well, yeah,
like he's ready for bed.
Yeah,
no.
I like that. We had to talk about their other threat on the court, Drew Holiday. You know, when he signed a really big contract with Milwaukee Bucks, I wasn't sure about that move in the beginning, but it certainly paid off. So now with the Raptors, you know, they have young players like Scotty Barnes and Delano. How do they guard a guy that's so experienced?
Well, I've always been a fan of Drew Holiday. I've gone on the record as saying he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Remember, this guy is an all-star in this league, so he can play. But I love his defensive ability. He's got very good size to defend multiple positions. He's quick. He can score. He's got this smoothness to his gait when he plays. There's nothing that seems rigid in his movement. He just flows when he scores. But when you're talking about defense and the young guys for the Raptors having to contend with that, know that you've got a guy who's going to be strong. He's going to be active with his hands. He's a smart defender, so you're not just going to be coy with him and put him into foul trouble, but you still got to be aggressive. Protect the basketball, and this is going to be a very good test for the young guys to have to deal with. I assume that Drew would be put on to guys like Fred because Fred is so good, but when he switched off to the younger guys, they're going to have to really accept the challenge, be careful with the basketball, and be strong with the basketball, because this guy is an elite defender at that wing position.
Absolutely. Now you could catch the next game versus the Milwaukee Bucks, 7:30. Watch and listen to it on TSN. From Savannah Hamilton, Paul Jones, Sherman Hill, Amy Audibert, Jake, Mac, and Luke, thank you for watching Raptors Today.